First of all, Frank, I appreciate Meaike. Good job in numbers. Thank you for that. You guys have been it's kind of funny listening to Meaike read the numbers and talking to Frank because we've known each other for so long, and I just see where we're going. I was my son had just come in, and he got in his first car accident today, Frank.
Uh-oh.
But there was no damage to either car. So I was like, that's not called a car accident. That's called good work. Now you need to get the hell out of there. And he had to wait around for a while with the police and whatnot. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I got on a call with Frank. He said, Euphemia? I said, oh, yeah. He goes, oh, okay, good. And I'm like, well, I don't need your approval, but thank you very much. Frank, it's simple for me. I would take, I'm a big fan of, we sell and we recruit here. Like it ain't that deep, right? For me, I'm a big fan of the overall number, right? Everybody hits a certain number issue paid, but also people have not been here for more than 90 days. Yeah. So you take the group and you go, like, I'll look at some of you on here on the Zoom and I'm like, God, there's just so much more. Thank you, Meaike. There's so much more that we can do. And I think that's the struggle for people is, we have to broaden our horizons. And I think that's what makes me nervous about people. Like, when Meaike says, you weren't on here, it's because you recruited nobody. It's also because you don't believe in the business we're in, or you don't believe in yourself. I got my insurance license. It wasn't hard for me to recruit, Bryce. I recruit everybody. I talk to people all day, every day. I was begging for them to reject me. I did it 7 days a week. And then I was selling 30, 40 grand a month every month because I needed the money for my family. And then I always wanted the money, but when I didn't need it to pay my mortgage or my rent, I still kept working, So Frank, anybody that hits a certain number in, January, right? Issue paid life, recruiting numbers, and then maybe even growth too, and then some 90 days for some of the people. So, and if I can help in any capacity, dude, don't hesitate to ask, I'll help buy some tickets, do what I got to do for you guys. But I really think that, I don't know what you want to talk about tonight, Frank. I can roll here for like ever, but I want to know what's on your mind.
This last week of the year for this call, because next week's Christmas, and then the following Monday, it is New Year's of the following year. So, we've spent, so much time, in my opinion, Shawn, we kind of got lost in the mix of all the changes, right? And confused people do nothing. And to be honest with you, it's my fault, right? I was the mortgage guru of life insurance, right? That was my deal. And when those leads disappeared, I'm kind of like, I felt like a deer in the headlights for a little while. And now that we've got a grasp on social media, mortgage leads, and IUL leads are good. The final expense leads are good. And a lead's a lead. I get it. But we didn't have access to those leads until recently. But we worked our ass off over the last 12 months to get everything in place to help people be successful via telesales, because that's the transition we're all making. So, just something to give people a shot in the arm to look forward to 2024, because I know with all the stuff that Meaike has done in the backgrounds, and you guys have done with Andrew and the leads, and all that stuff is just poised for us to have explosion in 2024. It's just people buying in and believing again. I think, to be honest, some people lost faith last year because they weren't seeing the results that they had been used to seeing. And a lot of them came in COVID. And with all due respect, selling life insurance during the COVID years was like selling mortgages in 2006. You weren't selling. The media did the job for you.
Yeah. A number of things, Frank. First of all, we've never been in a position that we are today with all the products, right? Where when you look at what Depot, some of these guys, you see the IULs, what they're doing with annuities, what we're doing with final expense, we're doing mortgage protection. Our lead quality has never been higher. That's also part of the ILC. You can say whatever you want. Frank is right. I'm a lead guy, so it doesn't matter to me. I've never said a lead wasn't any good, and I've never blamed anybody for me not closing. I never said a client sucked. I'm a grown man. When it's my fault, it's my mother effing fault. It's not yours. It's not the leads. I'm also like not remotely able to be a pastor, but I was in church, and I'll get to it quick. So I'm not preaching to any of you, believe me. I'm just trying to do better every day and be a better human being. But he was talking about getting out of Egypt don't get you in the promised land, which you did. And they took a 30-day journey and turned it into 40 years. And he went into things that he was upset about the Lord, but he was most upset about grumbling. And he said, what we call it today is venting. So let's say Bryce is like, I'm just venting. No, you're just complaining. And the problem is, here's what you have to look forward to in 2024. If you make a decision, if you ask me what makes me great at business, if you ask me like, why can I, because I'm not trying to be rude, but if you put me in any business, I don't care what it is. If Jess is like, we are selling trees tomorrow, I'm like, which trees? She's like, oak trees. I go, okay. Like, I will freaking dominate that business. 100%. I will, that doesn't matter to me. You bet against me. I will outsell all of you, and I will recruit more people to sell trees than you do. And it's not because of Jesse might have a better knowledge of trees than me. Michael might be more organized than me. Collie might be more animated than me, but I never complain ever. And I work my ass off, and I feed myself with so much positivity, it'd make you throw up. Matter of fact, hang out with me enough, you'll say something like, I was just venting. You don't understand. I'm like, no, I understand. You're a crybaby. I'm not mad at you. It just makes you a crybaby. Like, it makes you a crybaby. I'm not mad at you. I just don't have the energy. So, Frank, when you look at all the products, understand what you can do with IUL leads. Imagine if you sold an annuity a month, a couple IULs, mortgage final expense, knocked out 50, 60 grand, and recruited. But here's two problems that almost all of you are faced with. And this is also what makes capitalism work. I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to be free. To my core, I wanted to be free. I didn't want to just be free from my employer. I didn't want to be like, once I got done and decided to be independent, I didn't want to be at the beck and call of money. Like, I better, if Frank calls me to do something else, I better do it. I can't pay my bills. When I decided that I was going to utilize every single, call it what you want, quadrant, know all the products, and recruit all day long every day. So, Frank, the belief level people lost in themselves, there's a reason you lost it in yourself. This industry is this industry. It's a phenomenal freaking industry. Yes, COVID was, I wish COVID didn't happen. I wish nobody died, 100%. But you are right. The world told everybody they were going to die. And the good news is unfortunately, most people live in fear. So, Frank, what's funny or ironic, what's ironic about why sales soared during COVID is because most people live in fear. What's sad about why most people didn't do as well post-COVID is because most people live in fear. They didn't make a sale. They bought some leads. They didn't close them. They talked to one of their friends, and their friend said, they can't do this. Some of you, if I could take a screenshot of your face, I'd be like, I wouldn't recruit you either. I wouldn't want to work with you. You smile on occasion. Seriously, Bryce, you smile as much as I used to smile. It doesn't work. You have to find a way to be so excited about your business on a daily basis that people are drawn to you. The greatest compliment I ever got recruiting was, I'd ask somebody they would say, I'm pretty sure Dominique Rogers will tell you that he had no idea what we were doing after I got done talking to him on the phone, but he was in. Like, literally, if I had told him 2 days later, hey, bro, I didn't say insurance license, I said fishing license, he'd have been like, all right, he was already in. And it was because I was so mother freaking excited for the result he could have. The result that not that I could get, that Dominique Rogers could get for his family, that he could change the trajectory of his family, that he didn't have to live the way his family had lived their life, that they could take it to the next level, that he could go ahead and get married and decide that he can make enough or and raise his kids and do the things he wants to do. I wanted to change his mindset. So he was in. You have to feel that way about you. And guess what? There are days that just suck, in case you want to know. There are days that suck. We launched a company December 12th, 2013. December 5th, 2013, I got divorced for the second time from the mother of my kids. I didn't get married to get divorced. I wasn't excited about getting divorced. I got divorced 7 days before I launched the company. I didn't cry like a baby. I didn't roll over and quit work, and I didn't bitch to my friends. I went to work. You want to know why? Because my children are my responsibility. I'm not having done this yet, but I'm thinking about writing this book that says, stop saying you would die for your kids when you won't work for your kids.
Oh, that's strong.
Like I love you, but everybody says that. And I laugh out loud because I'm like, bro, you don't even work. And by the way, we've all been there. But you're going to jump in front of a bus for your children, but you can't get out of bed. You won't put 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a weekend, no matter what it takes. So in 24, Frank, it will be what you all decide it will be. The people that have a phenomenal outcome in 24 will be so positive that you won't be able to penetrate their mindset. No matter what you say about what they can't do, they won't hear it. They won't focus on it. They won't understand it. They won't accept it. They will not care at all. But the problem is that when there are bumps in the road and when it doesn't go so well, will you run to people that are successful or will you run to people that are unsuccessful? The unsuccessful people will tell you it sucks. They will. I get it. But dude, who do you surround yourself with? This is an easy business. I'm sorry, but it is. Sell 30, 40 grand a month, buy yourself $5,000, $6,000 in leads, recruit people, make your spread, make another 10, 15, 20 grand a year. You know, a guy was telling me about his problems in his company. I've known him for a long time. And finally I said to him today, I said, dude, you issue $25 million a year as a company. I issue $700 million a year. Oh my God, I can't imagine the problems you have at $25 million a year for the entire company. Like, I will pray for you tonight before I go to bed. But you know what? There's times I don't know what to do, Michael File. I make mistakes. It's times that I'm like, I can't believe I'm in charge of this. This is kind of stupid. I don't necessarily know what to do tomorrow. Damn, I didn't know I owed that. Damn, didn't know we agreed to that. Damn, didn't know that was happening. But guess who I never call to complain to? Any of y'all? How many times have I called to bitch to you, Frank, and cry?
Never.
Never. And I'm as close to Frankie as anybody in the entire company.
There were plenty of times you could have.
I don't. Dominique knows. I call and talk to Dominique when things are falling apart. He answers he calls me up like, what's up, dude? How things going? Could not be any freaking better, man. How about you? World's falling apart behind me. I couldn't be any better. It's not fake it till you make it. It's that I'm already blessed because I'm alive, so I am appreciative, and I'm appreciative and blessed. Why am I not going to speak more blessings into my life? And what do I gain? Because at the end of the day, Frank, and I've gotten on everybody at the company. You know that, Frank, when people are like, I've done it with Andrew Taylor. Andrew Taylor was really good to have in charge of handling leads and handling leads and handling quality, all that. What he wasn't good at, and he'll tell you this, was he listens to people. They're like, well, I don't like this kind of lead. Don't you think? And I'm like, dude, we started in 08. Like, I got my license in 08. Bryce, all the leads, Dominique will tell you this, you could produce them, right? Like, you could produce them for nothing in areas I grew up in because that's what you do. So you go to Bridgeport, Connecticut. You find the areas that nobody wants to go into. You drop final expense mailers. You get an 8% rate of return, and I show up driving people to Cumberland Farms to get a money order for $8.07 a month. Why? That's my job. I used to write 55 applications a week, Jesse, to get $12,000, $15,000 a week. Paper apps, 15 pages. Monumental. But I did it, bro, every week. Now, you want to talk about leads sucking? I guess I could have said they suck. I could have convinced myself. I didn't hear it. I wasn't listening. It did not matter. I was not involved in your cry fest. So I got on Frank one day. He's like, well, I'm like, dude, no, stop. And he was listening to other people and trying to advocate for them. You want to advocate for other people? Hey, dude, this is what we got. The leads don't call themselves, and sometimes they say no. Sometimes they don't buy life insurance from you. I'm just letting you know that up front. That might happen. And God doesn't like a complainer. So, Frank, I'm so excited about what we offer. I'm so excited about the platform. We've never been in a better position. So the time to bitch about quality of anything in FFL was years ago. That was the time you had a right to do it, and I still didn't listen then. We had no leads. None. I bought lead inventory of a credit card that was 3 years old. None. But you know what? I still told myself we had good leads. So, Frank, the infrastructure is there. It's a matter of what you do with it. Who do I see winning at the company right now? I see some people that are really rabid about what they do. They're selling because they're leading from the front. They don't take any months off either. So it's not like they do 30 grand 1 month, then 6. Some of those names in that leaderboard, Frank, I'm like, oh God, like he's so good. How is he issued 7 grand for the month? I still have the answer today that I had back then when people go, hey, do you know how, can you talk to me about selling 20 grand a month? I'm like, absolutely not. I've never done that little in my life. I could never talk to you about, I don't know how to, but I've never done it. So I can't talk to you about doing 20 grand. I've never sold that little in my life. I was part-time my first year. I never sold under 30 grand a month. So you have to talk to somebody else. I don't know how to do that. I've never accomplished that. Never once. Not in my first month licensed. I didn't accomplish that. So I don't know. And my leads sucked and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to get stuff issued. But at the end of the day, you have to decide. And as you roll into 24, I think the biggest question is what sacrifices will you make that you didn't make in 23? The problem with being successful is it's easy. The greatest gift, I had a guy in a podcast the other day who's done very well. He makes millions of dollars in the industry. I don't know if I like the industry he's in really, but it's legal and he's in it. And I said, how did you learn how to be successful? And there's a lot of people that on the internet now, everybody's news story is they say they went to prison. Most of them lied, by the way. I'm just letting you know that. They don't have an inmate number. You know what I mean? Like if you have an inmate number, you remember it. They don't have one. It's the cool story now to tell. It's like, well, I was in prison. I was selling drugs. Everybody said they sold drugs. And it's okay. But I'm like, why is everybody got to like, first of all, don't lie. It's weird. And this guy legitimately went to prison. I know him pretty well, 4.5 years or so. And he said, when I was in there, he said it wasn't like a level 5 prison. It was more of like a federal deal. And a lot of the guys that were in there for more like white collar crime type stuff. Like they had been successful financially. And he said, I started talking to them. And what I realized is there was nothing special about what they do. The greatest gift I have has been getting around people that are successful and learning from them and then taking the things they teach me and running with them. But you know how you get there? You ask them. You're intolerable. You don't let up. That's how I do it. You can say no to me 100 times, Frank. I'll ask again. I went down and visited a guy, spent a whole day with him today. Not the whole day. It's not true. Half a day with him today. And dude, he's a monster in business. But I've asked him like 10 times. First 8, he didn't respond. The 9th, he said no. And I asked him again. Must have caught him on a good day, Jesse. And he said yes. And I showed up. Don't matter to me. Like I'm pushing to get better. And I just want some of you to make more sacrifices and take that lid you put on yourself, because you put it on yourself. Nobody else put it there. You put it on yourself. When Steve Giordano joined us, nobody made him sell $1 million a year. I'm going to tell you what he said to me. He said, why doesn't anybody sell $1 million a year here? And I didn't go, whoa, that's a lot. I go, because people are lazy. They're lazy and they won't buy leads. He said, what if I sell $1 million? I said, you'll make a lot of money and you'll buy a really nice house. What else do you want from me if you do that? You want another bonus? Like you're already being paid a lot. You'll live in a nicer house than most people. You'll have a car. Your wife will stay home. You'll have kids. You don't have to worry about money. He's like, that sounds good enough to me. I said, then go do it. And then when he did it, people started thinking about 5, 6, 7, 800 grand a year. What will you issue in 24? If you're building a business, you should hit Hall of Fame at least once. It's going to be the greatest thing you can do for your team. You should make it this year. Even if you've never sold 20 grand in a month, this could be your year. And you know what? For those of you that, some of you are really young, some of you not so young like me, you get to be 51 and you didn't lay it out, dude, you spend the rest of your life working and that sucks. The scariest part about getting this business for me, and I don't get scared about much, is somebody said, what was the hardest part about this business? I said, running final expense leads when I started. And they're like, were they hard? I go, no, not the leads. Meeting with the clients. They're like, oh, you were uncomfortable? I'm like, no, I wasn't uncomfortable. They're like, well, they wouldn't buy. I'm like, no, they all bought. They're like, well, what was the problem? I said, meeting with people that were 60, 70, and 80 that were broke. And thinking to myself, now that by the way, broke, like they still bought life insurance from me. If they're alive, they buy. Only way you get out of buying from me is you have to be dead already. You alive, you can buy. But I thought, I don't ever want to be thinking about $120 a month like that. I don't ever want to think about having $10,000 in my bank account being 60, 70, or 80. Because I think that I would think about robbing a bank anyway, because shit, how can it get any worse? And if I get shot running out the bank, I only got 10 grand in my name anyway. And that's painful thinking about that. It's a slow death instead of a fast death. Maybe they make a movie about it. I don't know, but at least I give it a shot. I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't rob the bank with a gun. I don't want to shoot anybody in the bank, you know? Frank, I'm trying to be serious and provide a little bit of levity, but also I think you have to be really honest with yourselves. And if you write out what you've made this year, write out what your expenses were. But if every time you're thinking about your business, you just look in the mirror and you know it's you're responsible for the wins, you're responsible for the losses. We have some people in this business that are not very talented, but they're very successful. I think you guys have a really good group, great personality, very gregarious, love to be around you guys. I think it's actually very underperforming because there's people that work a lot harder to connect with people than you guys do because you're better at it for the most part. The energy I get from your team in general, you have a better energy than those guys and girls do, but they outwork you. They outwork you. At the end of the day, they show up, they get there earlier, they put their cleats on, they take the field, and not all of y'all. I'm just saying, I don't know everybody's deal, but as an overall team deal. And I think that it's that balance between being appreciative for where people are and being considerate and being respectful and going, that was good. And then also going like, but dude, you got to move. So Frank, we're in a great position. We have a phenomenal bonus system coming out. Those of you working are going to love it. Like it's built for you because now we share in all the profits every month and there's no cap on it. So it's like Jesse's a number guy. You're going to love it. Comp, we've always had a comp grid. People are like, we have a comp grid. Dude, we've always had a comp grid. And we don't bother people and get a certain comp that's between y'all, but you got to sell something. Like this idea that, what do you give me? And a guy called me today, he goes, well, you know what? So-and-so said my comp, there's a comp grid. I said, we've had a comp grid 10 years. He goes, well, you know, if it doesn't, I said, bro, this is not the part where you threaten me to quit when you don't sell anything, right? Like you don't sell anything. Like you're threatening to quit. You don't sell anything. Dude, today's a good day to quit. It's Monday. I said, I've actually made a decision for you. Like, dude, stop doing that. But that's the answer. Like, it's not my fault. When you start saying it's your fault when things go wrong in your life, a lot of accountability in that. The things that have happened in my life are my fault. The mistakes I made, my fault. Being divorced twice, same woman, my fault. Making mistakes I've made at the kids, if they're my mistakes, my fault. Overreacting and being pissed off if Frankie says something that makes me upset and I say something stupid, my fault. Those are my fault. They're not your fault. So what if this year we take responsibility for everything we do in our business life? Your success, don't let anybody take credit for your success, but also your failure is your failure. And by the way, it's okay. It's okay to quit things. I want to quit hanging out with broke people. That's good to quit. I want to quit procrastinating. That's good to quit. I want to quit being afraid. That's great to quit. I want to quit being behind. I want to quit being an afterthought. You know, I was joking when we were golfing because I don't like golf. You don't hit nobody. You don't tackle nobody. Nobody bleeds. I don't like anything about it, but I'll do it. And we're golfing this thing. Dominique was with us. I could care less about the deal. I'm serious. The only time I cared the entire day was when I was getting ready to putt from God knows how far away. And Brent Abernathy, Mr. Professional Athlete, was like, go ahead, Shawn. What that meant was, putt it. You ain't never going to make it, motherfather. And the only reason I made the putt is I was pissed. I was like, I don't even care, but I'm making this putt. Dom, that was a bomb putt. I'm making this putt. I could care less. Don't dismiss me. You have to be frustrated about being dismissed. Also frustrated if you're dismissing yourself. So, Dom, I can go into Frank, I can go into leads, I can go into all that stuff, dude. But if the mindset's not right and you don't work hard, and if you would just accept that's the key to being successful. I know it. I've done it. Built a bunch of businesses, sold businesses, taught other people to do the same thing. And all I did was develop a mindset that you can develop on your own. That's it. That's how I got contracted with the carriers, how we got the lead vendors to work with us. That's how I dealt with my litigation. That's all I do. So I think for you guys, man, Frank, we're in a better position. ILC leads are freaking phenomenal. We have a phenomenal setup. You can work in all the different quadrants. You can recruit. And I'll leave you with this. I don't think about 24 as like, oh, this is all. I like 90-day chunks in anything. Anything I do. 90 days. What if you just decided the next 90 days, starting today, and can end in the, January, through January, February, March, can end middle of March. The next 90 days, I'm going to work harder than I ever did in 23 or any other part of the year or any year before that. You know what I mean? If you do that, pick your head up after 90 days and look at the results you got. So, Frank, that's all I got. Unless you got any specific questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I do have a couple.
Go ahead.
First question is you've been very good at not listening to anything else other than positive feedback or positive energy. But you're always like, with me, I always wanted to learn from you. So you could say just about anything and I would keep coming back. And you're definitely gifted in that area. Most of us aren't. So how do you stop listening to stuff? Because I knew when I said something stupid to you, is like almost instantly when it came out of my mouth, I was like, shit, I shouldn't have said that. But it wasn't going to matter what you said in return. I was not going to stop talking to you. I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to cry. I didn't like you sometimes, but that's normal with hard coaching. So how do you do it in a grand scale? Because you don't coach everybody the same way anymore. So can you give us some pointers? Because there's a lot of leaders on here that need to have those conversations or need to stop listening and start having people hold themselves accountable and not cry so much. In a sense.
Yeah, the first thing is if you want to hold people accountable, you have to hold yourself accountable, because you lose instant credibility. So people in my life have decided at times, bosses, whomever, to tell me what I need to do. And the bottom line is if you don't hold yourself accountable and work hard, I'm not listening. I always knew I had the right to be honest, Frank. I've always worked hard. I worked my ass off. I always worked my ass off. I've never, ever sat around and been like, I wonder if I carry my weight. I was talking to my, one of the guys who had to travel with us for the meetings, and he was like, dude, I was fun, but I can't do that again. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, cause you like leave at 3 a.m. and then we get it. Like, and we do, I just couldn't keep up. And I'm like, wow, you're 25, bro. Good luck. But at the end of the day, I work hard. But Frank, everybody doesn't respond the same way. I know that, number one. I'm a big fan of people who speak up for themselves. Like, I will never mispronounce Kali's name again. Why? Because she corrected me. Like, nicely, but like, yo, stop mispronouncing my name. Please. I was like, got it. Like, I do enough for you not to mispronounce my name, right? Like, I like that. Now, if she did nothing, I'd be like, I'd still be nice. She's a female, but I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Frank, you have to watch when you say things to people too. And you have to ask. I learned by asking. I knew Dominique was fine. I knew you were fine. I just knew that by the way you were. And I knew that once you believed I had your best interest at heart, it was fine. And same with me with you. If you have the best interest, I might not agree with you, but I'm not going to not talk to you again. You said that to me the other day. You're like, I just get nervous when you get mad at people because they can earn their way back, right? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's all good. I'm mad today. I might not be mad on Thursday. But at the end of the day, what you have to ask yourself is, does that person want the information? Am I holding myself accountable? Do I actually have the answers? And have I earned the right to speak into their life? I was selling a ton. I expected the people that sold with me to take my advice. I didn't think that was wrong. I was out there doing it with them, and I'm in. But you really got to watch, Frank, and make sure that if you have no relationship with people, you shouldn't push them, because you haven't earned that. And even if you think you should have, and if sometimes I just ask, like, dude, do you want me to be honest with you or not? Or we don't know each other that well. I don't really know how to respond to your question. Kind of get permission to be honest with them. And then, you know what? Sometimes if they've been around a while and you haven't been able to do that, you roll the dice and you push. Because sometimes people get pissed off when they respond well. Make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. Well, dude, I know how busy you are. We're blessed to have you give us this much time already. I'm excited to see you in Dallas. I think it's going to be great at this more quaint venue. You know, not that it wasn't cool to
Well,
have it in the stadium, but I think it's going to be a lot better.
that's the other thing too, dude. We had 12,000 people in the house last year, and we have 6,000 seats total here. So, and we ain't streaming it online. Just so you know that we're not gonna put it all together and send all the clips out. So you got to get registered. You got to attend, and don't show up on Friday if you wasn't there on Thursday because you ain't gonna have no damn seat. And I think, but you got to get registered. You know, we do need people in the VIP seats. Dom, we need everybody in your team in there. Frank, we need everybody in your team in there. And also, I'm not kidding. I want your team there because if I get to go to 27 meetings across country, when I walk into Baltimore and leave Baltimore, I have the best. That's the best energy I ever get. And I want to do better because you guys are awesome. I want the people in our stage to have you guys all front and center. I'd like to give away $400,000 in leads just to your team. Wouldn't that change your business coming out of there?
Hell yeah.
So some of you maybe got some new people buying the tickets, run some contests, do what you got to do. So appreciate y'all letting me get on, man. I hope you have a great night. It's good to see you guys.